talk to you about the importance of communication among men and women. Because a few days ago I was talking to a friend which happens to be here, and he was telling me that you need to communicate and stop assuming things. So today my statement would be that men and women are different, biologically different, and that's perfectly fine. And that's why it's very important to communicate and most of all to listen to each other. So men and women are different, not better or worse, just different. And just about the only thing that we have in common, or they have in common, is that we belong to the same species. But otherwise, we live in different worlds, we have different values according to quite different set of rules. Everyone knows this, but very few people admit it. The truth, however, is most definitely there, because around 50% of marriages in Western countries end up in a divorce. That's a fact. And men and women of every culture constantly argue over the partner's opinions, attitudes, beliefs. For example, when a man goes to the toilet, he only goes there for a special reason. When women go to the toilet, guess what? That transforms into a social lodge. You go together as strangers, you end up being lifetime friends, best buddies, so on. But it would sound very strange if you hear a man saying, "Hey Frank, I'm going to the toilet, wanna go with me?" So men dominate the remote controls, flick through the channels. Women don't mind looking at commercials. We can wait. Do the one. Under pressure, what men do? They drink alcohol. They start wars. They go to conquer. What women do? We eat chocolate and we do shopping. So, women criticize men for being insensitive, uncaring, not listening, not being warm and compassionate, not giving enough love, turning the temperature down, and leaving the toilet sit up. Men criticize women about their driving, for taking too much time without getting to a point. I don't know what you're talking about. And for turning the maps upside down where they look for direction. The explanation. There's always an explanation. Men and women have evolved differently because they had to. So men hunted, women gathered. Men protected, women nurtured. As a result, their bodies and brains evolved completely differently, in different ways. As their bodies physically changed to adapt their specific functions, so did their minds. I'm getting nervous now. Why am I shaking? I don't know. Okay. Women were mostly content for men to go away, and as they kept the cave fires burning, and their brains evolved to go with their function in life. Okay, over 1 million years, the brain structures of men and women does continue to change in different ways, and nowadays, we know the sexes process information differently, and they have different perceptions, priority, behaviors. To pretend otherwise, it's a headache and confusion. For example, men, you know the difference between the view of men and women. For example, when you're driving, the man has this tunnel, like a tunnel. So if there's the straight road, a man would see a dog crossing, but the woman would see the dog crossing, the lady with the kid, the tree right there, the beautiful house, and she can tell you the color of the rose. So we have a peripheral view, and you guys focus on one thing and one thing only. And if it's possible, you would hunt it, probably.
A dog? The dog?
Dog, whatever. A deer, maybe. Who knows? So since the late, since the late 80s, there has been an explosion of research into male and female differences and the way their brain works. For the first time, advanced computer brain scanning equipment has allowed us to see the brain operating live and provided us with so many answers to the question about men and female differences. Blah blah blah. Oh, yeah. For the most of the 20th century, those differences were explained away by social conditioning, as we all know. That is, we are who we are because of our parents, because of our teacher, because the attitudes that they transmitted to us, reflecting the society we lived in. So baby girls were dressed in pink and they were given dolls to play with. Little boys, they were dressed in blue and given little soldiers to play with. But the scientists say that even if boys and girls little would live on deserted islands, they would still dress pink and play with dolls and still play with soldiers. Because they say that it's not the social conditioning, but it's our biology, just the way we are. We are different and that's good. So I think the best metaphor to use here is the one that Dr. John Gray uses. Like men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So when you meet somebody that's the opposite gender, you just have to think like we are here in an intercultural environment. So like you just meet some foreigner, so take your time to understand them, take your time to walk into their shoes, and only after that try to establish a way of communicating and so on. So the result will be a win-win situation for both parts. So that was my speech. Communication is very important.